when the world fails me, when my strength fails me, and I have nothing else to do, there's one thing I know for sure, that my help cometh from the Lord. So I look up unto him. Oh yes. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said, Ye will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, he will not slumber nor sleep. For the Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand, upon thy right hand. No, the sun shines by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve thy soul, even forever. My help, my help, my help, all of my help cometh from the Lord. My help, my help, ooh, my help, all of my help cometh from the Lord.
Hi family, welcome to Patrick's piano class, and I am excited as you can see because after a long break, after a long while, I get to come back online and share my knowledge with you all. I've been seeing all your messages and your DMs asking me when I'm going to be back releasing YouTube video tutorials, and hey, I'm back and I'm back for good. Yes. Before I start, I want to give a quick shout out to my guy Atiso for holding me down in the video. He's a great singer, very great singer. You also check him out. Go follow him on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. I think the name is Atiso. Yes. All right. So let's get straight into the video. I'm sure that is why you are here. Okay. And the song title is My Help, and it's in the key of A flat. All right. Okay, that is A flat, and I will not say this is going to be a breakdown video, because of my perception about breakdown videos. What most piano tutors or YouTubers call breakdown videos are actually not breakdown videos to me, because most of all you see is these players playing wild stuff, and all you see is that they spell the chords for you, all right, transcribe the notes for you to play, and that is it. All right. But for me, if you're talking about breakdown, breakdown should talk about everything. All right. Breakdown should talk about the concept behind the choices and the decisions you made. Okay. Why you played what you played. All right. And so for me, that is more important than just spelling the notes out for you or transcribing the notes in the chords for you. All right. And so this is not going to be your typical, breakdown video where I get to, spell out everything for you. I believe YouTube has an option where you can slow the video down and watch everything in slow motion. But that is not what you want. Okay. What you want is the concept. All right. What you want is the freedom of expression. Okay. So that at the end of the day, you're not just going to transcribe the video and only apply it to the song, but you're going to pick any song and you're going to be able to, express yourself based on the concept. All right. And so the concept behind the decisions and the choices is very important to me. And that is what has helped me, to gain that freedom of expression, And so that is where I also want you to get to. And so that is why I am doing it this way. Okay, so that being said, let's get straight into it. So the song is in the key of A flat, as I already mentioned. And this is how I want to do it. Okay, there is a singer doing the melody, and there is me doing the harmony. All right, the harmonic structure. Sorry. And so the singer is doing the melodic pattern or movement, and I am doing the harmonic structure. So that is what I'm going to be talking about: how to build harmony, okay, for a melody or a melodic pattern. All right, how to build a harmony or a chord progression for a melodic movement or pattern. Okay, and all through the video, that was what I was doing. All right, so I'm listening to the melody and building harmonic structures or building my harmony based on the melody. Okay, the melody is always the direction. The melody is always giving you the roadmap. The melody is always giving you that stick for you to be able to walk well. All right, it's like directing you to where you have to be. Okay, that being said, how do you build harmony for a melody? All right. Now, there are two ways to this. Okay, there are two ways to this. But before that, I want to mention that in the contemporary world, unlike in the choral world, in the contemporary world, we don't harmonize every note, but in the choral world, they harmonize every note. So you hear. Let's take a song for example. It is well with my soul. It's a hymn, right? So in the choral world, you hear them play something like I'm not sure this is the original score, but just to demonstrate, you hear something like. All right. Sorry for the mess ups, but this is just something to demonstrate. I'm not sure this. Then again, I'm not sure this is the original score, but this is just something to demonstrate what I was talking about. So you realize that I harmonized everything. All right. So in the choral world, you harmonize every note, but in the contemporary world, you don't do that. What you normally do or typically do is you pick certain notes as your target note, and then you harmonize them. All right. And so the first thing, target note, very important. So in this case, we have I I will lift up my eyes to the hills. All right. So you don't want to harmonize everything. You just want to pick some notes, and there is no fixed rule to this. There's no rule to this. All right. It's just random. You just randomly pick a note. Okay, that is if you don't want to play it like the original. Okay, you just pick random notes as your target note and then you harmonize them. Now, once you do that, it means that the rest of the notes becomes what we call passing notes. All right, so two things. There is a target note and there are passing notes. And so if you want to build your passing chords, you also want to make sure that you're considering the passing notes in there. So there's a target note and there's a passing note. All right. So that being said, how do you build harmony for your target note? How do you build a chord progression for your target notes? Now, there are two ways to this. Okay. The first one is quite difficult. Okay. And the second one is very easy and very simple. Okay. Now, the first one is you using the melody to find the harmony. Okay. And talking about harmony, for me, there are three parts of a harmony. Okay. A harmony has three parts. Now, there is the leading note, there is the in-between chords, and there is a root note. All right. So there's a leading note, which is the same as the melody, and there's a makeup note, and then there is a root note. Okay. So the first way I want to talk about is, or the first one I want to talk about is that you use the melody, okay, to find your harmony. And I just explained the different parts of harmony. All right. That means you're using the melody to find both the root, the makeup chord, and then the leading note is already the melody. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. And the second one is you use the root note to find the harmony. Okay. So two ways. The first one is you use the melody to find the harmony, and the second one is you use the root note. You use a root note to find the harmony. All right. Now the melody is established; it's already there. So right now, what we want is the harmony. Okay. So and there are two ways to that. The first one is you using the melody to find the harmony. Second one is you using the root note to find the harmony. So now let's look at the first one. Okay. Now, in every chord, all right, or in every harmony, in every chord, in theory, is considered, or the third and the seventh in every chord are considered to be the most important notes in every chord or in every harmony. The third and the seventh are considered to be the most important note. Now, the reason why the third and the seventh are considered to be the most important notes is because the third and the seventh determines the quality of every chord. The third and the seventh of every chord determines the quality, hence the name of the chord. So if we can have something like a minor seventh chord or a major seventh chord, it is because of the third and the seventh. All right. Every chord has a third and a seventh. If it doesn't have a seventh, it has a third. That is, we're talking about triads. But if you're talking about a full chord always has a third and a seventh. All right. And the third and the seventh determines the quality of the chord. All right. So if you ever name a chord, it's dependent on the third and the seventh. We use the third and the seventh to name the chord. Okay. Hence the quality of the chord, to determine the quality of the chord. That being said, in music theory, it's advised that anytime you want to build a harmony for a melody, you consider the melody to be either your third or your seventh of the chord you want to build. So now, talking about third and seventh, in music, they are also called guide tones, all right? That's just by the way, guide tones. Now, talking about third and seventh, there are two types of thirds and there are two types of sevenths, all right? There's a major third and there's a minor third, and there's a major seventh and there's a minor seventh. So just by applying that one rule that says we should use the melody as our third and seventh, or seventh, just by applying that, we have four options. We have four options, all right? Because you can either use it as your major third, or your minor third, your major seventh, or your minor seventh. All right. So let's say the first note. All right. Let's just say the first note, which is I will lift of I. On the I, let's just say that's our target note, and we want to build a harmony for it. Now, the first rule says that you use the melody as your third or your seventh. So, in this case, I can either use this melody as my third, or my major third, or my minor third. All right. So, if I want to use this third as my major third, the question I need to ask myself is this: what will be the root of this third? If this is going to be my major third, then what is going to be my root? So if this is going to be my major third, then my root is going to be A flat. Okay. All right. So now we already have the leading note and the root note. Now it's left with the makeup chord. All right. So this is where it gets interesting. All right. And at this point, if you don't know, or if you don't understand chords in its entirety, if you don't understand chords in its fullness, it's going to be difficult for you to come up with some interesting harmonies. Okay. But I'm going to be talking about that in a separate video, or in the subsequent videos. I'm going to cover chords in its fullness, which is very important. So here I have my major third and my root. Okay. Now it's left with the makeup chord. So remember, in every chord, the third and the seventh is the most important. Now I have my third and my root. I don't have a seventh. So I should be looking for the third or the seventh. So in this case, I can either pick a major seventh or a minor seventh. Okay. Once I have my third, I can pick a seven. So if I pick this seven, it means that I have an A flat major seventh chord. All right. Now I can add a 5 on my left hand to it, and I'll have A flat major seventh chord. All right. Now, if you understand chords and your chords, you can add your 9th to it, or your 11th. That is a sharp 11th to it. All right. So you can add the 9th to it like this, and as you can see on the screen, it's reading A flat major 9th. All right. So that becomes your A flat major 7th added 9th chord. All right. So that is just by using the melody as your major third. Okay. Now, even that, you still have another option. This is a major 7th chord. Just by using that as your major third, now your 7 can be a minor 7th as well. And once if you choose a minor 7th, it means that you're going to have a dominant chord. All right. It means that you're going to have a dominant chord. So let me add the 5 to it, and I have a full dominant chord, A dominant 7th chord. Now, again, if you understand your chords very well, you can even add some of the, altered notes, extended notes to it. All right. So I can add a flat 9 to it. Okay. And I'll have an A flat 7 flat 9th chord. All right. Now, this is just by using the melody as my major third. I even have 2 chords. Okay. Now, if you use the melody as your minor third, all right, if you use this melody as your minor third, you are going to get an an A chord. All right, because C is the minor third of A. Okay, C is the minor third of A. So it means that your root is going to be an A. Now it's left with the makeup chord, the in-between chord. You have your root, you have your leading note, so the makeup chord. All right. So now, the most important note in every chord is the third and the 7, right? I already have my third. Now it's left with my 7. Okay. So I can choose a minor 7 or a major 7. Now, if I choose a major 7th, it means that the chord, that's if you know your chords, it means that this chord is going to be a minor major 7th chord. All right. This is going to be the sound of that chord. All right. But let's say if you don't want the sound of this, if you don't want how it feels and how it sounds, you can change it to a minor 7th. Okay, you can change the 7th to a minor 7th. So that way you have a minor 7 chord. You have a minor 7 chord. And if you know your chords, you can add the 9th to it, and you can add the 11th to it when you get a nice shape. So here I'm playing an A minor 9th with the 11th. All right. A minor 7 with a 9 and an 11th. All right. So just by using that one rule, now I used the melody as my major third, and I had two chords. I used the melody as my minor third, and I'm having two chords just by that. So already four. Okay, so now let me use the melody as my seventh, major seventh. Now if I'm using this same melody as a major seventh, this C is going to be a major seventh of C sharp. Okay, it's going to be a major seventh of C sharp, or D flat, sorry. So I have my roots. It's now left with the makeup chord. All right. So now the next thing I want to do is to find this is my 7. So the next thing I want to do is to find my third. Remember, the most important note in every chord is the third and the 7. So I have to find my third. All right. So this will be my third. Okay. Now I'm picking a major third. I can equally pick a minor third. Okay. And if I pick a minor third, I get a minor major 7th chord again. All right. But if I pick a major third, I get a major 7th. That's a D flat major 7th. All right. And if you know your chords, you can add a 9th to it. Okay. And yes, you're good to go. All right. Now, this is just by using the C as my major 7th. Now, if I use it as my minor 7th, that means I'm going to be in the key of D. All right. So one melody, one rule, I'm getting different options. Okay, and this is the freedom of expression I'm talking about. Okay, the concept behind the breakdowns, the concept behind the chords, the decisions and the choices you're doing. So here I have a D 7. All right, and I have a minor 7. So I'll choose my third, and I have a D dominant chord. All right, I can add my 5 to it, and I already have my D dominant. Now, talking about how I'm playing the chords it's a topic for another day, and that has to do with chord voicings, okay, which I'll cover that in a separate video. All right, so don't worry too much about how I'm voicing the chords. I'll talk about that in a separate video. So this is D dominant 7th. All right. So I use the melody as my minor 7th, and this will be the minor 7th of D. So also, if you don't know your keys very well, this is going to be a bit difficult for you. All right, and so that's why I always try to advise people to stay away from transposing. Okay, transposition is good, but theory-wise, you want to make sure you understand, you know all your keys. Other than that, some of these things to be very hard for you to understand. All right, so this will be the minor 7th of D. All right, so I can either choose a minor third or a major third. Now if I choose a minor third, I'll be having a D minor 7th chord. If I choose a major third, I'll be having a D dominant 7th chord. All right, and if you know your chords very well, you can add any of the extended notes to it. All right, so that is just one melody. Now I have like 8 options by just using one rule, and the rule is that you use the melody, consider the melody as your third or your 7th. That is one rule. Now, that is just one rule. There's another rule, okay, which says that you can use the melody as either your 1 or your 5. Now, just by using one rule, I have been able to come up with 8 chords. That is a lot of freedom. But there's even more. And the second rule is that if you use it as your 1 or your 5, the second rule is that you can use that as a 1 or your 5. So in this case, if I use this as my 1, obviously I'm going to be in the key of C. That means the melody is going to be the same as my root. All right. So here you have a lot of options. Here you don't have just one chord because it's just the root. You are not coming to choose the third and the 7th. So you have a lot of options. So you can choose a minor 7th chord, a dominant 7th chord, and even a suspended 7th chord. You have a lot of options, and even a diminished chord. So just by that rule, I have different options. Okay, and that is just using melody as my root. Now, I can also go ahead and use the melody as my 5. So this becomes the 5 of F. All right? If you know your keys, the C will become the 5 of F. And if it becomes the 5 of F, you have a lot of options as well. Because you are now coming to determine the third and the 7. So for me, most of the time, I like it when you use the melody as your root or your 5. Because it kind of like gives you a lot of more. Gives you a lot of options to choose from. All right? So here, you can either choose a dominant chord, a minor chord, or a major 7th chord. All right, so you have options, or even let's say a suspended chord. All right, so you have tons of options to choose from. All right, with the second rule, which says that you can use a melody as your 1 and a 5. It's a lot of freedom. So it's like you have 4 chords, like you have like about 10 chords. You can have like about 10 chords, or 8 chords. All right, just by using the second rule. And there's a third rule that says that you can use the melody as your 9. You can use the melody as your extended notes. And we all know the extended notes are your 9s, your 11s, and your 13s. Okay, so you can use the melody as either your 9, your 11, or your 13. Okay, that is it. And the last rule is that you use the melody as your accidentals. Now your accidentals are the flat and the sharps, the flat 9s and the sharp 9s, the sharp 11s and the flat 13s. All right. So it's like there's no point, or you can never be stuck or boxed. Okay. You need that freedom. You need that options to choose from. All right. So just one melody, I have tons of options to choose from. All right. And so that is, for me, that is more important than just spelling out the notes for you. Okay. So let's get back to the video. As I said, this is not going to be your typical breakdown video. All right. This is me giving you the concept behind some of the things I did in the video. So the first chord I played was this. And then I chose this chord because I use the melody as my 9th, and that is coming from the third rule, where you choose the melody as your extended notes. So the 9 is part of my extended notes. All right, so I'm in a key of A flat. So I will lift up. So I chose a 9, and then my makeup chord was a minor 7th. The quality of the chord was a minor 7th chord. So I will. Okay, so here, this note, my root note is E flat. All right, so that means that this is a minor 7. I chose my melody as a minor 7th. All right, coming from the first rule, where you can choose the melody as either your 3rd or your 7th. So but then again, all this is just one way of building a harmony for a melodic note or pattern. All right, all that I've said is just one way. And I mentioned earlier on that this is like a difficult one. Okay, this is like a very long roadmap. All right, but there is another one. There is another one that I will talk about, and then I'll end this video. All right, because then again, I'm giving the concept, not just feeding you with the note. Okay, I'm giving you the concept behind what I did. So the first 3 notes was my target note. I will lift. So I will lift. Okay, so the first one, I chose the melody as my 9th, and second one, I chose the melody as my minor 7th, and the last one, I chose the melody as my 5th, and I played a major 7th chord. All right, so but then again, in a separate video, I'll talk about how to also play your chords. The first thing I played in the video was I didn't play the full chord like this. Okay, I hit the note before playing the chord, and that is a different concept for another day. All right, where I get to share how you can the same chords, but you can play them so that you can get that sound, that professional touch. All right. So but the second one, road to. Okay, these are just embellishments. All right. I'll do that in a separate video. But let me talk about the second one quickly. Now, the second one is when that one is very easy, but yet very effective, just as the first one. All right. Now, that one you don't have to really think about whether the melody is a 9 or third or whatever. All you need to do, remember, I said that with that one you're using the root note to find the harmony. So just pick your target melody and choose a random root note. Just choose a random root note. Okay, choose any note at all. So in this case, we're in the key of A flat. So you can either decide to choose a note in the key of A flat or choose any note at all. You can choose any note at all. So let's say if I decide to choose, now in this case, in the video, I chose B flat. Okay. So in my head, I was doing a 2-5-1 progression on my left hand. All right, without me having to think whether the melody is a ninth or whatever. Okay, I just chose a random pattern on my left hand, and for me that one is more easier. Okay, that is if you want to play it in the heat of the moment. You don't have to now think about whether the melody is a 9 or blah blah blah. You just pick a random bass note and then you build. But it comes with practice and over time. So let me choose a different note. So I can decide to choose, let's say, a G. Okay, let's say a G. All right. Now the moment I choose a G, I know that my melody is the 4 of G. And I know my chords, so I'm going to play a dominant suspended chord. So, all right. So as you can see on the screen, it's reading a J9 sus 4. So all right. So in my mind, once I've chosen G, then let me move in intervals. Okay. So let me just move in interval of fourths. So from G, let's say, let me move to C, and from C, let me move to F. Okay, that's just interval of fourths. That's how come we get a 2-5-1. So let's say you're playing 2-5-1 in F. I will lift. So I will then on F I'm going to play this sus. Okay. So you see how it works. I will. Mind you, the melody is still in the key of A flat. Okay, and this is when most of my students, I always tell them that when you get to a level, you don't play in a key, but you play from keys. All right. So I think I wanted to mention that, but I forgot. But when you get to a level, you don't play in a key, you play from different keys. So in my mind, I'm thinking about different keys. Okay, but the melody is still in the key, like we are playing in A flat, but I'm not thinking in A flat at all. In this case, I'm thinking about in F. A 2-5-1 in F. But the melody is still in A flat. All right. And everything works perfectly. All right. So that is the second option. So the second option now gives you freedom. You don't have to, I don't really have to think about whether the melody is a 9 or whatever. Okay. The most important thing is that you know your chords, which I'll be talking about in a separate video. Knowing your chords is very important, very essential. All right. So I will lift. So that's just me choosing a random note. Now I can even go as far, choose any key at all. Let me choose a 2-5-1 in E. I will. So here is going to be so if I choose an F sharp against the melody. Now what is this in F sharp? This is a flat a sharp 11. Okay, and if you know your chords, you know that a sharp 11 can easily go with a dominant altered chord. Okay, so this is the chord I'm going to choose. All right. Let me even let me do it like this. Let me choose a nice voice. Okay. Or let me see. Or just a regular sharp 11 with a natural 9, right? And this chord is coming from the fourth mode of the melodic minor scale. All right, that is if you know your chord theory very well. So I can play this F sharp altered chord, I, and then on my C sharp, so I will, so, and then to B. So it's more like instead of a 2-5, I did a 5-2 to the 1. All right, but you can start from the 2 of B to the 5 to the 1. I think I wanted to do a E, 2-5-1 in E, but I rather did it in B. So let's do it in E. So 2 of E and 5 of E and back to the 1. So I, and then that's my B, and then to my E. All right. So the same E, we're in the key of A flat, but the chords are different now. So you can always find your way around it, all right? And know your chords, all right? Knowing your chord theory is very important. The chord theory is quite lengthy. So most of the time, I encourage you, if you want to do a private tutorial, private lesson, you can always reach out to me, and then we can do that. We can do that. Okay. So that is it for the 2 ways you can be able to, go about building your harmony for your melodic patterns or movement. All right. Now, I didn't intend for this video to be that long. All right. So I'm going to take this step by step. All right. So maybe in the next video, I'm still going to talk about this cover, and then I get to explain more. All right. But until then, I hope you've gained some value out of this class. And if you have done so, please like this video and share this video to somebody who you think might need this video. All right. But until then, peace out. This is Patrick's piano class, and see you in the next video. Bye.